Hey everybody, this is Ryan and Allie from GameOctane.com, and we are so excited to be here with Jason Michael Paul, who is producer for Zelda Symphony. Jason, thank you for taking the time to speak with us for a couple minutes.
Thanks for being here. I really appreciate you guys coming out.
Now, we're here in Salt Lake, the last stop for the 2017 tour. How's the fan reaction been as you've gone all over the world with Zelda Symphony this year?
A lot of times overwhelming. But it's just been an amazing ride. I think the fans are just some of the best fans in the world, and been doing this almost half of my life, and I've never been able to experience such a wonderful experience on any tour before. But just loving it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And besides North America, I mean, you had stops in Europe, stops in South America, just all over the place this year, right?
Yeah, I've been to every continent but two.
Oh, is that right? Okay,
yeah,
all right.
The Legend of Zelda Symphony of the Goddesses.
Okay, all right. So next year will be the Antarctica trip, right? Just
thought about it.
Okay, all right.
Thought about it. Yeah.
Small crowd.
If there's an audience, we will come.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, the big new thing for the symphony this year, as I'm sure a lot of fans know, Breath of the Wild has been added to the symphony. So
What? Yeah.
So, how excited have you been to bring Breath of the Wild as a symphony to the fans, and how has the reaction been to that?
It's been amazing, but what I really like about it is, as far as the show and the concert's concerned, it's enabled us to do things that we had never done before. As you probably know, the soundtrack for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is very unique. They rely on a lot of ambient sounds and a lot of sound effects, and what's great about that is we've been able to take those sound effects and incorporate them into the live performance with the orchestra. So I think hopefully you'll see tonight how beautifully it plays down, and I'm just really proud of that because it's the first time in the 5 years I've been doing this, 6 years I've been doing this concert, that we've actually been able to add those sound effects, and what a wonderful time.
Can't wait.
I'm so excited to see it.
With your busy schedule, did you get a chance to play Breath of the Wild at all this year, or just okay? Good.
Yeah.
At least you jumped on there.
I will confess, we have 3 Switches in my household.
Yes. That's the way to go.
Yeah. And I have one of them.
Oh, perfect.
That's mine only. But believe it or not, I've been playing a lot of 2K basketball.
Oh, okay. All right.
I needed a break. But I have been playing Super Mario Odysseys as well, and
Absolutely.
I love Zelda, and it'll always be a game that I always kind of default to,
Yeah.
when I want to play Zelda. But I get enough of it,
I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm totally immersed, but it's just a great thing, I'm just truly blessed.
That's amazing. Now I'm just curious about the process. I mean, seeing the production last year, I can't imagine the amount of hours and work that goes into making a symphony like this. Can you talk about the process, about picking the songs, what stays, what goes, and things like that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I have an amazing team. I have an amazing team of arrangers, composers, conductors. From top to bottom, I have a very seasoned staff of people that have a ton of familiarity with the symphony world, the creation of the arrangements and things like that. So pretty much the process is really simple. So I'll just take Breath of the Wild, for example. We don't have any access to anything that you guys don't have access to. So I kind of have to be a mind reader, so for example, with the time constraints that we had with 2017 and the Breath of the Wild coming out,
right?
I didn't get any inside access, so I was really just working with what was already broadcasted or made public. Of course, and trying to work with the Nintendo schedule, they're very busy, so I don't want to create much more work for them.
Right.
So in order to get this done in time for the tour, I had to just kind of work with what what was already out there. Mm-hmm. And so I just took that original piece that was composed for Breath of the Wild, and we created a score of that. And then of course we submit the music to Mr. Kondo and his team at NCL in Japan, and then they will give us their feedback. And once we get that, we'll take that musical score, and we will use that as the soundtrack for the video, and we will cut the video to that. And then we will resubmit again to Nintendo, and then it'll be a total package. And then from that point, we will make it so that it's playable for our concert. So we'll create a click track, and then we will have that, and we'll send it to our conductor so they can start practicing and getting used to the music. And then we will then create all the parts for the orchestra, and I have a music librarian who will do all that. And once it's at that point, then it's just a matter of like kind of working through it, and you know, obviously after the first or second try, we slowly start working out the kinks. But there's a lot of thought that goes into it. You know, everything from the page movements, making sure that it's easily the orchestra can play along very easily, because a lot of these orchestras are just sight reading. Like for example, today we had an hour rehearsal with just the choir, piano, and the conductor only. And then we had a full orchestra choir rehearsal on stage for 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
And that's it. And then they're show ready.
They're ready to go.
Yeah, so it's really important to really have a team that really knows how to do these types of things.
Yeah.
Because in our business, time really is money. And when I'm hiring an orchestra and spending the kind of money that we do on this large of a group, you have to have your stuff together,
right?
Because it's all about time, you know. And so we take a lot of pride in that. But that's more or less the process. You know, the good thing is Nintendo's been very favorable of everything we've ever done, and it's not a lot of back and forth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which has been really great.
Yeah.
And you know, I guess we know what we're doing.
Well, just from what we've seen, absolutely, you absolutely know what you're doing. Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question, just if there was a lot of back and forth this year, especially with kind of the condensed time frame. But, I mean, it sounds like your team was on a roll and got it going.
Yeah, you know, it was kind of funny because, you know, when after we put together our program, you know, and we wanted to, we were working on a Breath of the Wild medley, and of course, a Breath of the Wild, a new piece from Breath of the Wild. You know, it was kind of funny because we were playing the game. So when we first had Breath of the Wild, we didn't have anything to work with, but now we've actually been able to explore, and so I'll let the cat out of the bag. You know, the Goron City medley is the piece that is, hopefully you'll agree after seeing it live, you'll agree it's a beautiful addition to our current program.
Yeah.
So I think it's just perfect, and I think the audience goes home just like wanting to just play Breath of the Wild. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's the perfect way to end the concert, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh shoot, did I just tell you that's the point? Just kidding. It's the end of the year. Hey,
It's fine.
it's the last concert.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I brought my Switch for that reason.
Oh, right, exactly. Yeah. See, now we gotta just play a little bit more.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
So, when you're playing through the game, was there any certain piece of music, either from Breath of the Wild or really from any of the games, that you really would love to include in the symphony, but ultimately it couldn't quite make the cut? Or are there a lot of hard decisions there that just couldn't make it in?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, you know, I mean, the hardest one was to cut Gerudo Valley. Just, you know, but we have a 2.5 hour program, including a 20-minute intermission, so we just have over 2 hours of music that we actually perform. So that's probably the hardest part, is because I have a huge breadth and scope of music from The Legend of Zelda in my library, you know, so it's really just a matter of trying to get it within the program time, you know, and but also maintaining a certain, you know, authenticity and making sure that we hit on all those points, you know. So that's why I really love the 5-movement symphony that we have with the newest edition of the Skyward Sword, which we were talking about earlier. I think those, in my opinion, are probably the more significant titles that are worthy of a movement, if you will, a symphony movement. and with the latest edition of Skyward Sword, I think it's really rounded it out. And in due time, we'll probably have a Breath of the Wild medley or a Breath of the Wild movement as well. But for right now, we have those 5 movements, and then of course the overture, which is kind of more or less what we start the show with. That is kind of like a greatest hits, if you will, all in one big piece, a 6-minute piece basically, and it's kind of a cumulative piece of the whole franchise, if you will. And then what I really like about the way the program is we have these interludes, and those are kind of more like the handheld titles, or like for example, Link Between Worlds, or Triforce Heroes. Some of those more kind of like newer releases that were more handheld, not as significant in the timeline, if you will, but still really great games nonetheless. But we're able to kind of play around with the interludes a little bit more, and kind of mix and match things and kind of switch it around. So to answer your question, that's where we kind of have a little more fun.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we use the movements as kind of the core of the program, which we always kind of work around.
Gotcha.
And then of course we have the prelude, which is more or less the story of the beginning, where it all started, which is really nice. And then we go into the Skyward Sword, which is perfect because now we know where it sits in the timeline, so it makes sense, right? We have Skyward Sword as the first movement now, and then we kind of go, and then of course we take an intermission, and then we have our intermezzo, which is more or less a palate cleanser, kind of gets you back in the mode of like. And it's a beautiful, beautiful piece that really is just a gorgeous piece. And then of course we go back into the movements, and then the finale, which is a lot of fun. And I think what really is the best part about this concert is, and what I did when I came back after 2014, after taking a year off, is I really wanted the focus to be on the original creators. So what I did is I went to Kyoto, and I had the privilege of being able to do video and testimonials with Mr. Miyamoto, Mr. Aonuma, and Mr. Kondo.
That's right.
And what I wanted to do is I wanted to have them really taking you on this journey. And I think we achieved that really beautifully with this particular project. And I felt like I didn't want there to be any distractions. It's not about me. It's not about anyone else. It's really about Mr. Miyamoto, Mr. Kondo, and Mr. Aonuma, and that's where I want the focus to be. So I think in that sense, I think we really delivered on that. And I think at the end of the day, that's all the fans care about. They just want to feel like they want to feel connected to their heroes. And so hopefully I've been able to provide that.
Well, as a fan of the series, I think in my opinion you've definitely achieved that.
Thank
I
you.
think a lot of fans have really appreciated that as well.
I really appreciate that, because I felt like a lot of it was getting kind of muddled, and just I felt like we were kind of getting away from that. And even when I was doing the Final Fantasy concerts, I was a big fan of getting Mr. Uematsu, to be that kind of testimonial person, to really kind of take those fans on that journey too. Because at the end of the day, I mean, that's what people want to see. They want to see Mr. Sakaguchi. They want to see Mr. Amano. Those type of figures.
Right.
So at least I do.
Yeah.
And I speak Japanese, so I can understand.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, so it's a good thing.
Well, I mean, we're huge fans of Zelda, but there are so many other gaming franchises out there. If you had a project that you had free reign, you can make another symphony for just any game franchise, what would you choose?
Well, I already have it. I have another show, which we actually premiered at the Sydney Opera House in 2014 when we were on a hiatus here. It's an amazing show. And it's basically features a catalog of music from a catalog of blockbuster video games. And what's great about it is, again, my thing is I want to create a story. I want to create something that's more compelling than just seeing your greatest soundtracks perform. You know what I mean? Like we were talking about earlier, like, yeah, you can go see a Harry Potter film, but like, who wants to just see a film they've seen 100 times? Yeah, I get it. The orchestra's playing live. Yeah, well, whoop-de-doo. You know, at the end of the day, I want something that's a little bit more compelling, a little bit more connected, and also something that is more creative.
Yeah.
So Heroes, a video game symphony, is basically taking Joseph Campbell's monomyth from the. Are you familiar with Joseph Campbell? Yeah. So he's amazing. Well, he's an amazing writer, and he created basically chapters, and it's about the journeys, the hero's journey. And so what I've done is I've taken these chapters, like for example, the Call to Arms or Return from Battle. And for each chapter, I have. Are you familiar with Nigel Carrington, the voice of Dear Esther?
I'm not. No.
Are you familiar with Dear Esther? It's a wildly popular independent video game. So, anyways, I took his voice from the voice of Dear Esther, and I have him taking you on this journey. And so, and what's beautiful about that is I have all fully live orchestra. So even when when this narration is taking place, you have this really beautiful underlying music with these beautiful visuals from the game Dear Esther. And it just really takes. And then of course we have these amazing. Each chapter has a video game that's represented. So like for example, BioShock is one of the titles that we use. Man. Portal is another title that we use. Dear Esther is another title. Final Fantasy. Yeah. Kingdom Hearts. Halo. Where else? Chrono Cross, Chrono Trigger, all my favorites.
It's a solid catalog right there.
Yeah, exactly. So the Elder Scrolls is well represented as well.
Oh wow.
So like for example, Skyrim and Morrowind and Oblivion.
Oh man.
So you have all these amazing, and it's a very comprehensive concert.
Oh yeah.
And so that's the other show.
Okay.
Yeah, so I need you guys to promote it.
Well, okay, that was gonna be. Yeah, can we get that out of Australia? Can we get that around here?
We've had a couple shows. We've had a few domestic shows, but I've been so busy with the Legend of Zelda Symphony of the Goddesses that I haven't really been able to focus. I mean, we're doing on average anywhere between 50 to 60 shows a year with Zelda. So
yes. Oh yeah.
It occupies a lot of my time. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. No, we'll get the word out. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll broadcast it as far as we can get it to get the word out.
I'll also be the
that.
first to tell you I have an amazing project that I'll be announcing in 2018. I'm really, 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 really excited. But it's the first time ever National Geographic has partnered with anybody, and I'm creating a symphony for them.
Wow.
So it's going to be Hans Zimmer is doing original music for my project, and the Bleeding Fingers, and it's pretty amazing.
Wow.
And we're working on a symphony for the planet.
That's amazing.
And it's going to premiere on Earth Day in my hometown of San Francisco at Davies Symphony Hall on April 22nd.
April 22nd.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm really excited, and it's going to be kind of it's going to be a huge derailment from what I've been doing with video game music, but it's nice because when I started my career with Luciano Pavarotti and the Three Tenors, and I started working with in that world, and then I got into video game music, and now I'm kind of getting back into that fine art kind of, not so much video games. So I felt like I was kind of pigeonholing myself in one particular genre, so now I'm feeling like I'm kind of getting back into my creative juices and being able to explore. And what I love about it is that it's a project that really doesn't alienate anybody. I think, with the video game you have ESRB ratings, and you have, with films you have R-rated films or PG-13, but with nature and the wonders of nature, there's no one that, it's nature.
Right.
It's nothing explicit about it.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh man, Nate, April can't come soon enough.
That sounds
great.
incredible.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
Well, Jason, we really appreciate your time and just getting the insight, especially just as video game fans and Zelda fans, just getting some insight on the whole process. And I'm excited, especially for next year coming around and the new projects that you have. Yeah. Just for our audience, where can we, reach you for any news and updates and things like that?
I have a website. It's not just Zelda-Symphony.com. It's also my company name, jmpent.com. But we'll have dedicated websites like we do with Zelda. So, like for example, National Geographic Symphony will have its own domain, and you'll be able to get all the information on the project there.
Awesome.
But we'll have a press release that's going to be coming out real soon, and we'll have all the details of where you can find out more information about the projects. Heroes-Symphony is actually living and breathing, and that's currently live. And we have scheduled dates throughout the world, from
fantastic.
Macau to Rochester, where we just did a show with the Rochester Philharmonic. The Florida Orchestra has also presented this show. The Omaha Symphony, even the Utah Symphony presented this show a long time ago. Something similar, at least, anyways. But yeah, definitely. You can definitely find out the information there.
Excellent. Well, Jason, again, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate it, and best of luck, especially on not only tonight, the last night for this tour, but next year is going to be pretty packed for you, I'm sure.
I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it, and we'll be back with some more news and interviews and game-related stuff next time. We'll see you. Okay.
Cool, man. Do you guys want to